Greetings. So this is another part of the conversation that we've been having with Edwin Bruno, the CEO and CVO of Smart Africa Group. This is the Citizen Exclusive. We're going to have a deep dive conversation. We just had a tour of the expansive facility that SAG is. We've looked at the subsidiaries and what they're doing and how the company is revolutionizing innovation, not only in Tanzania, but Africa. And what is the vision? So, Edwin, welcome to the Citizen Exclusive.
Thank you, Mpoki. Thank the Citizen and welcoming you all. Happy to host you today, and thanks for paying a visit, because without you amplifying our story, other people will be also getting inspired by the same, and for us as we are learning to be inspired by others as well.
Yes. So your journey is not new to Tanzanians. We've read, we've seen your story. However, right now we are in another level of this milestone that you keep achieving and the impact that you're having in the innovation space. Initially, we started with Tanzania, we went to East Africa, and now we're talking about the continent, Africa. Smart Africa Group and the impact that you're having in the ecosystem. Can you tell us, as we're looking at it in a broader picture, we're looking at it as an innovation hub, an innovation ecosystem, what have been the strategic decisions and partnerships that have helped SAG become what it is today?
Yeah, so I think the biggest growth within us, we've been enabling based on more of partnerships and collaboration, which we have done. If you look in terms of our route, we couldn't be here today without the support of the government at that time, whereby COSTECH enabling us to incubate our idea for the idea to be the company. So you could see within our route, it's more of part of a government enabling new ideas. And then when we go back into now commercial, you see even our journey, we've been partnering with a lot of private sector company, the likes of Vodacom, to be able to help us launch pretty much Rifali. Right now, it used to be called M-Paper. When you talk about innovation in media, we've been partnering with a different ecosystem to help them launch campaign and co-create together with innovators through our Smart Lab. We have also got an opportunity again to partner with Vodacom to run the first Vodacom Accelerator Lab, whereby we give an opportunity for other innovators to be able to use our roadmap so that they could also partner with that. Because partnership is what enabling growth, and that has been our history, and that has been the pioneer, because we believe that you cannot build something yourself, and even the village, take a village to build a child. Yes. So the village for us, it's these people who are around us, and how can we enabling them to enable us so that we can reach to our destination.
Okay, and now the sort of partnership that you're looking at goes beyond Tanzanian borders. You've launched a product in Kampala, Uganda. You've launched a product in Kenya as well. So I want you now to tell us how difficult or how easy is it for a tech company or a company that works on innovation to cross border, to work, to operate across East Africa, across Africa? Because oftentimes when you talk to different investors and business people, they talk about how there are these different encumbrances that make it difficult to invest beyond borders. Tell us about your experience as SAG. How do you find investing beyond Tanzania, investing in Africa?
Yeah, so investing in Africa for us, as I say, because our main focus has been collaboration for growth. And due to that, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel by starting each and everything ourselves. So we use the leverage in terms of partnership. Let's say, for example, our expansion across innovation in tech. We are part of AfriLab. AfriLab is an organization of network of innovation labs, whereby they are across pretty much 40 to 50 countries. And within the Africa market, that means if you wanted to go in any type of country in Africa, they already have a partner. So let's say if I'm going to Uganda, I'm going to Kenya, I'm going to Nigeria, I have a community of AfriLab member, which are going to host me, and they will become as my co-partner into that ecosystem. When you talk about advertising and media, Smart Code within the SAG, they are also part of MC and Sachi, whereby it's a network again for advertisers, whereby each and every country, the top advertising company, they are our partner. So we are not going to that market to compete with them, no. We are going to that market to collaborate, to enabling them within the network which we have, which now make things easier. Let's say, for example, when we launched Rifali in Uganda and Kenya, we launched it through collaboration with our partner. And pretty much even during the time when we went to test and do the connection with the payment partner there as well, our main partner from AfriLab and our main partner from the agency, they're the one giving us a helping hand to make sure also we collaborate with their governance in order for the system to work. So within that leverage and within the community which our partner has, leveraging us to give us an opportunity to expand faster.
Okay. But then as an innovation powerhouse, what would you perhaps recommend to different governments within Africa to sort of refine in terms of the policy issues? Because when you're in the innovation space or when you're in the tech space, there's a lot of volatility, shifting policies, financial squeeze, as you will, even changing tech trends. What are some of the policy or regulatory restraints that you wish can be enhanced to make it a bit easier for investors to cross borders and make investing from one country to the next to become a bit easier? As an innovation powerhouse, can you talk about your space?
Yeah, I think it's really important for us, Africa, to become as one. As when we say like African as a continent, to be African as a village, whereby our intergovernment also, the policy to speak each other. And even for them to go even further in terms of looking in terms of profitability and tax management. Because right now, let's say, for example, we have a customer who sit maybe in Uganda, sitting in Rwanda, sitting in Nigeria, and trying to buy one of our products. But they're paying us within their currency. And when they do pay, and for us to go and pay the collaborator on that side, you find out that you get maybe double taxation. Or even sometimes our regulatory framework here doesn't integrate with the other countries' regulatory. And especially on shared content, security, and of course, even transaction in terms of when you are trying to move money for the same. And even for the investor. So for the investor, for them, they wanted to see Africa as a borderless. So that when they put their money, they see like it can help the Africa and the community to transform. Because we are looking to build an Africa economy across all the region. So, of course, now it's important for the regulators across all the organization together with the government across different countries so that we have some sort of like borderless economy, one Africa empowerment to be able to solve solutions that if it can work in one country, we believe it can work in another country. Yeah. And if we'll be enabling to solve certain challenges within a certain type of community, we believe that across Africa, that type of community is available across many countries. So as builders, we build for Africa, and that's why Smart Africa Group.
Okay, and I believe right now, as we're talking about the effectiveness of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, these are some of the opportunities that lay ahead. Now, we're looking at the journey that you've had for almost 15 years now. When you started as Smart Codes around 2010, and then later transitioned into SAG in 2021, so it's about 5 years since you started operating as Smart Africa Group. Let's talk about the mission that you serve today. How has it evolved based on the vision that you have for the company? What's the mission for SAG today?
The mission for SAG today is quite touching because for us, we are looking to build something which we wish would exist when we were started. And what I mean by that, being able, while you're building, to have this platform or this space whereby everything is connected. Because you might think about the problem. How can you sit somewhere to be able to brainstorm that problem? And then how do you use the same space to transform that problem into a solution? When you understand the solution, how can you build that solution with an engineering team? in same space. After you're building it, how are you going to take it to the customer? That means telling a story. When you see the customer accepting it, how can you scale it? That means you're looking for fund. Now you are getting the fund. Now, how are you going to push the business model and continue growth in terms of, if now you're looking to go to another country, how can you use the same infrastructure to be able to open the same doors which have already been opened? So putting all these things together, this is what each and every builder or each and every marketer, even if maybe a local corporate company here in Tanzania, now they want to ship things maybe in other part of Africa. How can they use that same corridor? And that is an inspiration for us to build an SAG as a one platform, targeting 3 sectors and starting by 5 industry. And all of this together, working together to make sure we are impacting at the end of the day the community.
So the impact that you've had in the Tanzanian market is well documented. Companies both from the private sector but also the public sector can attest to that. Now, when we're looking at it from a continental level, what role is SAG playing in Africa's digital transformation? Because we have this wider ambition of ensuring that Africa remains digitized or plays a central role in the global digitization. Let's talk from a continental level. What role is SAG playing in the transformation?
So for SAG, we're quite focusing on 2 roles. First of all, taking innovation, marketing in terms of communication and product from different parts of Africa, from one country within the Africa to another country. Of course, starting from East Africa to other part of Africa. But not only doing that, we say like there are some other things which are already existing. For us to do so, that means we also need to partner with global companies. That means for us and SAG, we are looking forward to act as an anchor for any global company across different continents which they are looking to expand in Africa as a whole. Let's say, for example, it's an AI company which they're based in Europe and they're looking to expand generally in Africa. They don't really need to come to start studying the African market from the scratch. That means they use one of our innovation lab to act as a co-host for Africa expansion. And when they come to Africa as an expansion, we always know that at least minimum they'll need 3 things. They already have a technology, but they need to educate the market about the technology. That means our studio and the agents as Smart Code will help to do that. When they do that, they need to build a community. That means our Smart Lab and Smart Foundry will be able to do that. But also they wanted to centralize their administration in terms of finance, tax, relationship with the government. That means that's a key role where SAG we are playing on. That means for them, when they want to switch an expansion to Africa, for us to be sort of like a click away for them to start that. That's why I say our main goal is to make sure we're shortening that journey. Rather than them doing that after 1 year, it's when they set up so that they can launch the business or the solution. For us is to make sure we are at least shorten it in less than 1 month for that to happen. And we quite have a testimonial of things which we have done, and pretty much we are going to launch those. And now the people understand exactly what we're building the SAG for.
So we've looked at the expansion that you've had. You've launched a product in Uganda, in Kenya. What are the other destinations in Africa that you're looking to expand to next, and also other sectors? What drives your strategic decision into entering a specific sector, a specific market?
Yeah, so for us, it's actually we're driven by 3 things. First of all, when we test, let's say we launch it in Tanzania first, we look in terms of who are the early adapter of our services. So let's say, for example, on our M-Paper now, Reefly, when we quite see a lot of people are consuming our content or consuming our service across East Africa. And then even when we look within the East Africa, we quite had a lot of readers in Kenya. That means since we always say that if we have 10 customers of a certain caliber, they are using our service without us introducing to them or advertising to them, that means there are 10,000 which need that. That means we use that as a case study in the behavior of how they're using and consuming that content and expanding that. That means our decision, it's more data driven, not like because we like country X or because we are neighbor, no. Depend on how our customers are using. Number two, it's technology. That means our technology can be embedded up to where. Let's say, for example, if we are using mobile money to do payment or to accept payment, based on our current integration, our mobile money can accept up to what? If we are using transaction in terms of, either Visa or MasterCard, can accept up to what? The content which we are having, let's say, initial contents are more of Swahili and English, which you cannot say like you're going to expand it into Francophone, while actually we don't have French content. And the third part, it's now the regulatory framework in terms of intra-country transaction, intra-country talents. For that to be enabled, that means those are key three things. So we are looking in terms of data, we are looking in terms of which customers are calling us, and we are looking in terms of the relationship in terms of the policy enabling that expansion.
Okay, now SAG is involved in multiple industries, from fintech to smart cities.
Yes.
But when you talk about innovation in its wider scope, and from an African perspective,
Yeah.
countries such as Kenya, Rwanda, Senegal, South Africa come to the fore when one thinks of investing in innovation in Africa.
Yeah.
As a company that was founded in Tanzania but is now looking at the wider continental scope, how do you stay ahead of the curve? How do you remain competitive in a fast evolving innovation landscape?
First of all, for us, even when we segment ourselves within the industry, we even put the industry based on how big. There are some things which Tanzania itself or East Africa, we are bigger compared to other continents. Let's say, for example, for us, we are into media and content as one of the industry we are focusing on, technology infrastructure, financial services, commerce and manufacturing, and of course, government innovation. In Tanzania, if you look in terms of content, even the global platform like the Facebook, Meta, Instagram, TikTok, and whatever, top followingship or top active customers and users, they're actually in Tanzania. That means if you wanted to disrupt media and content across Africa, Tanzania has a bigger market. But the challenge which Tanzania has is how to monetize that. And that's where we want to jump into that. Other countries might have fewer users, let's say, for example, South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya, in terms even of music. In music and entertainment, we are very big, but we cannot monetize. So how will us as a SAG helping our community and our creator to be able to monetize their content? That means if we have a license, one license for Africa, we'll be enabling them even while they're in Tanzania. They don't really need to register here. That means we enable them when it's open. It's when, of course, we have a local partnership like the likes of Basata and whatever. But what is the Basata for Kenya? What is the Basata for Nigeria? What is the Basata of South Africa? So these creators, they don't really need to go across all the hurdles. They need to do that through SAG, and that's a platform which we are looking into. When we are talking about commerce and manufacturing, we have big guys which, they have the old, let's say they wanted to transport food. They're doing food production, distribution. We're quite bigger into that. You see, even the biggest rich people in Tanzania, they're actually on manufacturing and industrial. So if someone needs that service, and they want maybe a certain food product while maybe they're sitting in Ghana, how can they get that? They cannot go to the shop. That means how can we help them build a digital infrastructure for them to distribute that?
So now, oftentimes when we talk about innovation, we look at how Africa remains dependent on Western innovation. And even from an investment perspective, we're talking about the Metas investing in Africa and us using their products. So we do not have or at least the majority of the innovations that we use, mostly interactive innovation, is not made here in Africa. How are you helping solve that challenge? How are you helping Africa and African entrepreneurs, innovators, innovate from within for us to have our own technology sovereignty?
Yeah, so I think in Africa as a continent, even though they say it's not made in Africa, we have a lot of things which are made here. It's just what we don't have, it's an enabler to empower that. Even when you look across Europe and US, the best talents are moving from Africa, they're going there and they're doing big. But now, how are we going to put our enabling environment in order to bring our talent back so that we build our own Africa? Because all the raw material from talent, from manufacturing are coming from Africa. So now we don't say, I don't see it as Africa as the next big thing. Africa is already a big thing. It's just we're not telling our story enough. And for us, this is the time to start amplify our story and positioning it to the user.
Okay, so let's say I'm a business investor and I'm looking for an innovative solution to invest in. What do you think is the biggest opportunity or challenge in Africa that requires a digital solution that is yet to be tapped? What is that opportunity at the moment?
I think in any innovation across here, or maybe most of the challenge of the investors, which of course we have been partnering with them, they're facing is they want the innovation which have been building outside of their country or in their country, bring it into Africa to work the way it work on their side. Rather than looking for a partner to be able to help them, to tell them our African infrastructure are like XYZ. So when you are coming here, you really need to have an African innovation partner or hub like SAG to be able to amplify. How can you transform that service, or how can you transform that innovation to speak to the African need? I can give you an example. You have seen a lot of ride-sharing company. When they come from the outside of Africa, they're coming to Africa, they're trying to say like each and everyone should, collaborate in taxi. Well, we don't have taxi. We have boda boda. We have matatu. We have whatever. Now, even those sharing company, you see, they pioneer the small motorcycle to be part of ride sharing, the Bajaj to be part of ride sharing, which in their market, it's not there. And then it's when now you see, based on our roads, based on the infrastructure, based on even type of devices which we are using, based in terms of even explaining, let's say when we talk about advertisement, the ad which we have shoot for Super Bowl in US, it's not going to work for Africa. Africa, we need to tell a different story based on where that person has the capability to understand. Based on that understanding and things they're facing, how can we integrate that lessons to amplify for that product to work? So partnership is really key for growth, for both shipping global product to Africa, but also for Africa to ship product into the US.
Okay, so now as we're looking into the future, what biggest technology trends are you betting on that are going to redefine the landscape in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think when you look in terms of the technology, everyone, of course, right now we are talking about AI. But AI, artificial intelligence, is not something which is going to pass, just like the way people are talking about crypto and things like that. This is another, I think for me, it's a fourth revolution on the technology and computing. So we come from manufacturing, and then people created machine. And then when they created machine, and then they do the device like, let's say, the typewriter and whatever. And then people shifted it into computing. Even the vision of the local machine to be able to have a computing for each and every one desk, like the other legend which they have done. And then now we are into the transformation whereby we are not telling this technology or infrastructure or system, because it used to be like we are the one putting the input for them to give us an output in terms of the direction which we understand. But now we are in the era of all this technology. They can now also think by themselves, which is another transformation area. And within this transformation, my biggest bet is to make sure each and every Africa enabler and builder and individual to really think and to understand that artificial intelligence is here to stay. And for you to grow, you really need to find a way to equip yourself. We don't say like the AI is going to take your job, but people who are using AI and those kind of tools, they're going to take your job because they're going to put things, now it's going to save time, it's going to implement faster and better. And I think for Africa, we're quite lucky because I think on the innovation and the digital transformation, there are a lot of spaces which we have skipped because we come late to the dance. But right now, we are dancing all of us together. That's why you see a lot of solutions, which when we even showcase some of our product or the way we are working even on our structure, it's quite equal and the same to anyone in the type of company which is in Silicon Valley. I don't need to go to Silicon Valley to do that, or the Silicon Valley doesn't need to come here to do the same, but we can collaborate because internet and technology help us to think as one village across the continent.
Yeah, indeed. So African innovators are taking bold steps. Now, for any young entrepreneur, young innovator who looks or aspires to build the next SAG, what would your one advice be to them? You've been through that journey, you're living it at the moment.
Yeah.
What would you advise them?
I think for the next innovators, it's not just to see if a certain company have done something and then you want to copy and do exactly the same. You need to take it as an inspiration. Let's say, for example, for us, when we see Meta, the likes of Steve Jobs, they're building computer. We use the same inspiration to build the output of today as an SAG. So now, how can you look as an SAG to build the same big thing, but in a way whereby you are inspired to go? You look it as a roadmap. If someone can do X, I can also do Y. But if you continue doing the same thing, we cannot move a needle to somewhere else. That's why for us, we are building an SAG to be able to grow based on the way they're going to build other things on top of it. So that's why for us, we say it's a platform, it's an infrastructure for others to be able to build things the way they want to build.
Okay, so at the end of the day, what legacy would you want SAG to leave behind, not only as a company, but as a movement?
So SAG as a movement, not just as a company. For us, we want, when we sit in the next maybe 5 or 10 years, so like actually we put that as a rocket for other people to launch their rocket and to make sure they launch it faster and better than the way we could do it for ourselves.
Okay, I mean, that is quite inspirational. Well, Edwin, that marks the end of this conversation today. It has been quite insightful. It's great to see how Smart Africa Group is innovating not only the Tanzanian ecosystem, but the continent at large.
Thank you very much, Pork and team, for coming and listening to our story. It's quite inspiring to see also the way you guys are transforming for the same. That's why for us, SAG, we only have 2 words. We say, SAG, it's your growth partner, and we are building things until it's done.
Okay, until it's done.
Until it's done.
Well, that makes it a wrap for this episode. You were with me, Mpoki Thompson, for the Citizen Exclusive. We were with Edwin Bruno, the CEO and CVO of Smart Africa Group. Until next time, adios.